Hey guys, welcome to Piano Rogues and welcome to our new setup.
Today, we are going to be answering some more of your Reddit questions about piano.
I have scales, chords, arpeggios book. They introduce 3 minor scales, natural, harmonic, and melodic. Specifically, when talking about triads in the minor scale, they only focus on harmonic minor scale. Why is this?
There's actually a really good reason for that. It's because the specific purpose of a harmonic minor scale is to facilitate harmony, which is what triads are. Triads are chords. What is up with the sound? As I was saying, triads are harmony. They are chords, to be exact, made of 3 notes. That's why it's called a triad. In minor scales, if you just use the melodic minor, then you end up with what would be weak harmony. I think I've said this before, potentially a composer may make the choice to use that sound on purpose, but usually our ears prefer to hear a leading tone, which is a half step below the tonic. Okay? And that's what the harmonic minor provides for us. It gives us a leading tone. See? And that sounds stronger to us harmonically. So then, that's why we use the harmonic minor scale.
Should I not be bothering to learn triads and other scales? I guess the main difference would be that I'm learning the little 5 chord versus the big 5 chord.
Yes, that is accurate. You would be learning the minor 5 versus the major 5. And like I said, composer may choose to use a minor 5 instead of a major 5, but generally they'll use the major one because that would include the leading tone. The minor 5 would not.
Playing 2 different melodies on each hand, how do I play it together without messing up? So I'm learning a new song that I have always wanted to play. It requires 2 hands, which is fine, but in the middle of the song I need to play a different melody on each hand. One is slower than the other, and it's pretty hard to play. I'm guessing it's like a 3 against 4 type of situation. Hard to play together when it's not in sync. They're falling in between each other. What are some things I can do to get used to playing different melodies on each hand together? So,
what are some things you can do?
I'm guessing things like 3 against 4.
First of all, I would say, I really hope you're not trying to play up to tempo right away. You should be practicing it slowly at first. Yes. If you are playing 3 against 4, I'm not sure if that's what you meant by one of them being
Faster than the other.
Faster or slower than the other, then it might be beneficial for you to understand how they fit together. There is a silly phrase we can use to help with that rhythm. Also, it could be 3 against 2, possibly, which would be different. So if you can just pull out that rhythm and practice producing that, and you can practice that any place. You won't even have to practice this at the piano. I'll do 3 against 2 first. For 3 against 2, if you are familiar with the bell carol that is so popular around the holidays, hark how the bells sweet silver bells, all right? So my right hand was playing 3, my left hand was playing 2. You can practice that. Another thing that you can try is practicing just 3 against 4. This one's a little bit trickier. I'm probably going to mess this up the first couple times I try it. But if you can say the phrase to yourself, pass the gosh darn butter, pass the gosh darn butter. I'm editing it for YouTube purposes. Okay? Pass the gosh darn butter. That's 3 against 4. And then the only other advice that I could give you without seeing specifically what you're working on, like I said at the start, practice slowly. Also, practice in different articulations. Make one of your hands staccato, where the notes are separated from each other, not connected. And then make the other hand legato, which is where you make it as smooth as possible and let there be no gap between the notes, and then switch it. You're gonna hate me for telling you to do it. You're gonna hate yourself if you make yourself do it. But then, after you've done that, you might find that it's better and easier, and then you won't hate it so much anymore.
Which set of books can I buy to start learning classical piano and sight reading?
I really like the Faber series. That's my personal favorite to teach out of. And they have a fantastic piano literature set. And it starts all the way down in primer level with the super beginning but still classical oriented music, and all the way up into early or late intermediate classical music. And it's graded really well. Fingerings are great, the prints are beautiful, and it's a really fun mix of all these different composers through Baroque, classical, romantic, and then contemporary music. I really highly recommend those. If you are wanting classical music to challenge yourself, try to get something that's either right at your level or a little tiny bit higher. If you're wanting to practice sight reading, I recommend stepping back a level for sight reading. Just because you're taxing your brain already, you don't need to be trying to play something that's right at your level or challenging you in technical ways if you're just trying to sight read.
So not sponsored, and we will have an affiliated link, which means that if you click on it, we get a portion of what you purchase, and it does not change the cost of your item. So we'll have links in the description below. Key signatures. Please
You want to try that again?
Please explain what key signatures are for dummies. Let's say I'm looking at a D major scale. Sure, I can Google the fingering, but I want to learn how to read as well, so I am trying to push myself. We're going to have a whole episode on this, so this is just a quick helper.
Okay, so the reason we have sharps or flats in scales is because depending on which note or key on the piano you start on, it is going to change your pattern of whole and half steps unless you edit the notes a little bit with sharps or flats. Look, our board is getting used. Yay! In a major scale, so
what's our pattern?
It's supposed to be whole, whole. Okay, what happened here?
Rejected!
Someone took a dive about major scales. It just so happens that we have a C major scale right here. And the pattern of whole and half steps for major scales is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half.
Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half.
She helps. If we were to not start on C, but start on D instead, that would mean that our half step is in the wrong spot. And that's why we need sharps in pretty much any key except for C major. So that is the purpose of sharps and flats and scales. It's to fix the pattern of whole and half steps so that even if you don't start on C, the whole and half steps are in the right spot.
Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half.
She helps. That is actually what key signatures are for. It's to tell you which notes have been changed in order to retain that correct pattern.
Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half.
Even though we're not starting on C. I hope that helps. I'm really excited to get to actually use this today.
We made this for this purpose. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Touch technique. One thing I have been bothered by lately is my touch. I have difficulty making something sound pleasant rather than screechy and clunky, particularly in the left hand. My bass notes always sound like they're imposing upon the rest rather than harmonizing with them.
First of all, there are certain things that I would tell you to adjust based on what you are playing. I don't know if you're playing on a keyboard. Honestly, sometimes it is just the instrument. As pianists, we are supposed to be entirely responsible for our sound, and it's never the piano's fault. But sometimes it's just really, 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 really an uphill battle to be able to create a beautiful tone on certain pianos. If it's not in tune, you're gonna have a very hard time making it sound pretty. Bass in a piano tends to be heavier and clunkier anyway because of the fact that they are bigger strings. And more elderly pianos are going to have more difference between the bass sound than the treble sound also. If your hammers are getting too flattened out, that can make it hard. I mean, there are all kinds of factors that can go into this. What you can do that may help when my students are having trouble playing softly, I tell them that the volume of your playing should come from the weight of your arms, not from your fingers. So if you want to create a loud sound, you're supposed to drop the whole weight of your arm into the keys. It should really just feel as though you're being lazy and flopping down onto the couch. That's what it should feel like when you drop your hand into the piano. Now, coming from that the other direction, if you want to make a softer sound, that means you want less of the weight going into the keys. So you're going to use less arm weight. And you want to feel almost as if your arm is being suspended by puppet strings. You are just gently letting just a tiny bit of your weight go into the keys. And this is something that will take a lot of experimentation. You're going to have to play very slowly at first to feel as though you have control over this. But with time and practice, I'm sorry, yeah, you're gonna have to practice a lot. Hopefully it will become easier for you to get that feeling. Once you get a little bit more comfortable with what it feels like to use the weight of your arms to create the sound, then you can start to practice with exercises. You can use Hanon, you can use Czerny, pretty much any kind of etude or exercise, even scales. Just practice with scales and try to get the feeling of playing loudly or heavily in one hand and softly in the other, and then just switch it. And that's going to be very hard, and you're going to hate me for telling you to do it. I'm sorry.
Apparently there's a lot of hating you in this episode.
My students all hate me, and it makes me so happy.
How to play fast octave triplets. Hi all, I am currently playing Der King by Schubert. I was doing fine, thank you very much. Nobody would have noticed. And on the right hand, there are fast, constant octave triplets, i.e. G4 and G5. Major G4 and minor G5, am I right? One's uppercase, one's lowercase.
Yeah, so normally, but that would be like if it was a chord. We're only playing Gs, so that's not going to be a chord. That would be major or minor. Okay, so does that mean we're doing this? I'm not familiar with this piece, or are we doing...
To play them, I have to keep a lot of tension in my arm, and it doesn't feel quite right. Also, when I watch videos of concert pianists playing it, they seem to be bouncing their fingers off the keys, whereas I'm more pressing and lifting my fingers. Hopefully that makes sense. So literally anything will help. Thanks for the advice.
So if literally anything will help, I will present to you the two possible ways that you might be talking about, because I'm not familiar with this piece. If you are playing triplet octave Gs, I figure you probably mean you're doing either this or doing this. And in either case, it is going to be imperative for you to keep your arm relaxed. In order to do that, you need to keep it moving, because if you keep your arm moving, it will be impossible for it to become tense and tight and locked into position. You're going to need to start out slowly at first. And you're going to want to find some kind of rhythm where you can move your elbow in synchrony with the rhythm. Now, if you're doing something like this, same thing. I guess it really isn't going to change all that much what you need to do based on whether you're playing triplets separate or all together. Keep your arm moving, draw little circles with your elbow. You're going to feel a lot of motion in your shoulder as well. Try to let your hand be really loose and almost floppy. You want strength in your fingers, but not tension in your wrist.
Floppy hand, wiggly elbow.
Yeah, it sounds wrong when you say it like that. Floppy hand, wiggly elbow.
I help with chords. I started keyboard yesterday. I know one song, it's very simple. I'm trying to learn a song with multiple chords that I'm having trouble figuring out and remembering where to put my fingers back. Please help.
You are probably up against a few different things that are challenging your memory and technique here. In terms of memory, remembering what the notes are, the names of the notes, and what keys to go to, you need to be talking out loud to yourself while you're doing this.
Be a crazy.
Yeah, be a crazy person. Have conversations with yourself.
And the piano.
Like, I'm going to just make this up because I don't know what chords you are working with, but if I was you, I would be saying, okay, I need a C chord. C is made of C, E, G. I'm going to play C, E, G. And then the next one is F, A, C. And then let's pretend the next one you needed to go to was a G chord. I need G, B, D. And then I go back to C, C, E, G. You're going to need to talk to yourself a lot. I don't know how many different chords you're using, but you're going to need to practice going back and forth between each two chord jump. Let's say we have C, F, G, C. Okay, those are the chords we're using. You'd need to practice going C to F, C to F, and then just do it back and forth until you're sick of it. talking to yourself the whole time, telling yourself what the notes are, and then also F, G, F, G. Go back and forth between those until you are sick of it, and then going back and forth between G and C. So basically, every possible combination that the chords are moving between, you need to be focusing in on each pair just to get that motion down and talking to yourself the whole time. Musicians are a lonely lot. We spend a lot of time talking to ourselves alone in a practice room. I hope that helps.
Okay. Don't forget,
Please like and subscribe to our YouTube.
thanks for letting us steal your screens for a while.
Stay rogue.